Hello and welcome to this Monday night edition of the Niall Fraser Show, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we have a packed lineup. We ask why gingers are converting to Islam, why I am immune to this, and we do a deep dive into the psyche of a ginge. We also come armed with an expert analogy of two-tier Keir Starmer, and I put it to you that he's simply a glorified McDonald's manager. Then we take a trip north to Scotland's future shithole, Aberdeen. All that and more coming up on the Niall Fraser Show. But first, the intro music. Hello and welcome to this Monday night edition of the Niall Fraser Show. And tonight we are talking Gingeslam or Gingeslam, whatever way you want to call it, whatever way you want to pronounce it. Absolutely insane numbers tonight, guys. Over 100 viewers before we've exited the intro music. Love to see it. Absolutely love to see it. And more people watching on YouTube than ever before. Thank you ever so much. If you're on the YouTube, smash the living hell out of that like button. Give us a comment because we're just beginning. We're just starting. Okay, so our first topic of this evening, Gingeslam or Gingeslam, whatever way you want to say it. My community are under threat, under threat to the preachers of Islam. Why is this the case? Why are gingers not just seemingly predisposed to converting to Islam, but statistically proven to be the most predisposed convertees to Islam? And it was funny, when I was researching this portion, I came across lots and lots of articles, discussion boards, you name it, telling me that Muhammad was a fair-skinned redhead. Did you know that, ladies and gentlemen? Tell me in the comments. Absolutely astounding news to me. What the hell is going on? Is it simply me from the future travelling back in time to create a religion to eventually spark the Crusades and piss off the entire Western world to no end? Anyway, let's get into the stories, and I give you my lived experience of being a ginger. Right, so what's the story? What's the story, Balamori? Well, let's get this. Let's share some pages here. Let's share this one. I mean, this is what sparked the conversation about gingers in Islam. Muslim convert found guilty of planned terror attacks. Well, first of all, looking at this image, I will tell you for absolute certainty that one, this man is not, categorically is not a ginger. Absolutely not. Case in point. Absolutely no comparison, ladies and gentlemen. And we'll go into why that is as well, scientifically. But let's read the on. Jason Savage, 35, threatened to flatten a mosque and plotted an attack an Islamic cleric who was outspoken critic of terrorism. A critic of terrorism. A Muslim convert who threatened to flatten a mosque and plotted to attack an Islamic cleric who was an outspoken critic of terrorism has been found guilty of preparing a terrorist act. Jason Savage, 35, was convicted at Birmingham Crown Court on Thursday. Video footage released by West Midlands Police after his conviction showed him filming a reconnaissance near a mosque in Wright Street in the Small Heath area. Savage from 4th Avenue in Small Heath was remanded in custody for sentencing at Birmingham Crown Court on the 11th of April. The 3-week trial was told Savage was arrested shortly after sending online messages to someone he did not know was an undercover officer, saying he was waiting to see what the opportunities come to present itself. Jurors also heard that Savage has taken screenshots of West Midlands Police Headquarters, police headquarters in Perry Bar and Stenchford, and various military locations in Birmingham, and told the undercover officer he was putting his neck on a chopping block. Prosecutor Peter Ratcliffe alleged that Savage had planned to commit and film an attack. Disapproval of false followers. Interesting. He told the court the defendant converted to Islam at some point in the 2010s and followed an extreme and violent part of the Salafa movement, of which organizations such as Al-Qaeda and so-called Islamic State were particularly notorious examples. Interesting. Disapproval of false followers. Prosecutors allege that Savage had carried out reconnaissance with a view of attacking a cleric, bookshop and mosque in the Small Heath area, whose approach to the Salafi movement was entirely at odds with his own. The mosque, shop and publishing house advocated a strand of Salafism that stressed the importance of non-involvement in social and political activism, the court heard, while the cleric was an outspoken critic of Islamic terrorism, arguing that it was entirely incompatible with the true essence of Islam. Mr. Ratcliffe said a key feature of the defendant's words and writing was his real disapproval of disbelievers, but particularly those he considered were fake followers, false followers of Islam. So he's preaching, he's saying that the critic of Islamic terrorism is a fake follower, a false follower. By February 24, the court heard Savage was referring to watching knife fighting techniques on YouTube. I mean, this is just bonkers. Absolutely bonkers, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you think of this. But you get the point. You get the point. And let's just let's bring this down for a second. We've got some images. Why Why is it that it's... Well, one, let's just say first categorically, I'll tell you as my lived experience that that man is not ginger. And indeed, the one that we'll see later on is not ginger either. They've simply got ginger beards. And you might think, Niall, you're splitting hairs. Literally. No, I'm not. No, I am not. But first of all, let's read this incredible article. And this was written in 2014 by Milo Yiannopoulos. Over 10 years ago. By Milo and Jeremy Wilson in 9th September 2014, ladies and gentlemen. Dozens of young red-headed men and women are replacing the ritual bullying of the playground with the ritual strictures of radical Islam, perhaps, at least according to some experts, as a result of the bullying and persecution they endure in early life. Well, it's not easy having red hair growing up in Scotland, I'll tell you. But I think it makes you a better person. It equips you with the either you become not to be bullied, or you become very sharp-witted. That's the thing. You need to be quick off the mark if you are a ginger. Absolutely so. So I think the notion that because gingers get bullied or picked upon or name called or whatever, they then convert to Islam. I think it's for the birds. I think it's ridiculous. Maybe there's so little gingers that they're looking for a group. Maybe that's why it is. I'm looking at some of the comments here. Get the comments in, guys. I'll put the good ones up. Anyway, let's read on. You've likely already made the connection between ginger hair and homegrown Islamic radicals yourself. I'd never heard of this before people started sharing these just bonkers studies. Absolutely bonkers studies. And here, they said something, we've got the bookmark, I think. Where's the image? It was something like 76% of convertees to Islam were red-haired. Red-haired. As the king of the gingers, I am absolutely appalled and shocked at this. Absolutely shocked. So you've already made the connection. I just don't believe it. Subconsciously, perhaps, from newspaper reports showing carrot-topped wannabe jihadis from Bradford and TV clips of Auburn brothers in East London. What you probably don't know is just how vastly overrepresented redheads are in the ranks of Islamic converts. It's crazy that this is 10 years old. There are no surveys of jihadis, of course. The Quilliam Foundation, a counter-extremism organisation, told us no one keeps reliable data on white converts to Islamism. So news reports probably represent the best data set available to researchers. We sampled national newspaper coverage of white converts to radical Islam published between August 2013 and August 2014, excluding cases where there were no evidence of extremism or radicalisation. For example, Lucy Valander, red-haired territorial army private who had sex change and became Britain's first transgender Muslim woman. Well, she was excluded from the results. We discovered 76% of white British converts to radical Islam had red hair. Just absolutely insane numbers here. Insane numbers here. But I think it is my belief, my lived experience, and I will go on to prove my thesis later on, that this is not the case. People are making the misnomer, the mischaracterization that people with red beards are ginger, when they're not. They're not pure-bodied gingers, as I am. They're not pure-bodied gingers. Extraordinary numbers. Daily Mail archive, 69% of white Brits lured into jihadism or the orbit of extreme preacher were ginger. The number was similar to the Mirror. See, this is the thing. What constitutes a ginger? The number was similar to the Mirror, Telegraph, Guardian yielded a full 100% redhead rates for the stories we sampled. Extraordinary numbers when you consider in the Northern and Western Europe, the average incidence of red hair in the general population is 5%. In other words, Islamic extremists reported on by the media are 15 times more likely than the general population to have red hair. Oh my God. Oh my God. Mudbloods. Exactly. They're not true gingers. That's the point. And that's the point we're making. Gingeslam. It's not Gingeslam. So we'll read through this article. It's quite long, to be honest. But you know, I'm just going to not bother with that. I'm just not going to bother with that. And I'm going to tell you my experience. First of all, yes, being ginger, it seems like there is just this preponderance, this acceptance that you will be bullied, name-called, derided. You know, just going back, I've had some absolute crackers where, you know, just, you know, you're walking along the street and, you know, I'm going deep into the memory hole here to get these stories. Walking along the streets of Cowdenbeath. And people would shout out the car at you. Hey, iron brew for shampoo. Stuff like that. I mean, it's absolute. I mean, that's a better one. You know, some of them are just ginger, blah, blah, blah. But that was one of the funnier ones. But this is the thing. When you are at school, you are, especially, I mean, not so much now, but when I was at school, I mean, I think there was only 5 or 6 gingers and, you know, in a whole school of 1,200. And you're like, what's going on here? What is going on? But my point is tonight, as a pure-blooded ginger, as a Draco Malfoy ginger, as a Slytherin house member ginger, I will tell you the difference. I will show you the difference. Here is an infographic handily lifted from a website. Now you'll see that it takes 2 MC1R genes to become a pure-bodied ginger like myself. A pure-bodied ginger. And you need 2 of these recessive genes in order to display full ginger. But you'll see the picture next to it. Oh, there's only 1 MC1R gene present. And sometimes it happens to be that you've got normal brown hair, could be auburn, no auburn, it could be strawberry blonde, whatever it is, sort of blondish, brownish. But then you've got this prevalence of ginger beards. And everyone will know what I'm talking about, where somebody with full-blown brunette or whatever, and they'll just have a ginger beard or a couple ginger hairs in their beard. And you're like, how is this happening? How is this? This is how it's happening, because they carry the MC1R gene. And what people are doing, they are belittling the race of gingers. They're mischaracterizing gingers. A pure-bodied ginger like myself, I don't think, is at any risk of converting to Islam. But the ones with the beards, perhaps. See what I'm saying here? That's not full gingers. They're not full gingers. Look at this guy's picture. Look at this guy's picture. Let's get this off the screen. Does he look ginger to you? No, he doesn't. And the guy that I used in the thumbnail, yes, he's got a ginger beard, but he's not got ginger hair. It's the ginger beard that I'm talking about here. They only have 1 ginger gene. Gingeslam. It's just, and to lump these people with ginger beards, which is indeed, let's get this up. It's not as simple as red or not red. With 2 copies of the mutated gene, you will have ginger hair all over your body, like myself. Blessed blessed with ginger hair all over your body. But with just one, the hair on your head will be brown or blonde, whilst your beard and other regions can be distinctly red. Less than 2% of the world's population. Very rare. I am very, very rare, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely. I would say one of a kind. Less than 2% of the world's population are classed as a natural redhead, a result of both parents carrying the mutated MC1R gene. But even if you're not a true ginger, here, even in this article, it is by Beard Grooming, to be fair. Even if you're not a true ginger, like myself, 25% of the population are carriers of the ginger gene, giving them the telltale red speckles and the potential to bear red-headed children. Well, at least they've got that ability. There you have it. So 25% of the population are carriers. Not 2%, 25% are carriers of this gene. And it would, not likely, but it's possible, well, it's more than possible, it's actually extremely likely that this person will have ginger beards and brown hair. Just like the infographic here. So what I'm saying to you is, it's not all, it's a mischaracterization. It really is. And this thought pattern that because gingers are bullied at school, they then convert to Islam. They seek comfort in a group. They try to ingratiate themselves with another group and are converted into Islam. It's just not right, because most of these people that are there have got ginger beards and not ginger hair. They're not true gingers. So when they're at school, they've no got beards. They're at school, they've no got beards. They've not got any facial hair at all. So they wouldn't even be showing up as ginger at school. So it therefore can't be true if they're getting bullied at school, they're then converting to Islam. Oh, especially in this man's case. Because clearly, when this guy was at school, he didn't have a beard. So how could it possibly be true that he was bullied at school for being ginger? How is it possible? It isn't. It simply is not possible, ladies and gentlemen. But there you go. I've given you my thoughts on gingerism. Almost 200 viewers, guys. Thank you for staying with me. You're getting a wee bit of a lesson on the MC1R gene, the ginger gene, my specialist subject. But let's move on. I think we're done with Gingeslam. I just thought I have to mention this as the king of the gingers. And I must say, gingers don't belong in Islam. True gingers like myself. No, they don't. But it was interesting to read that Muhammad was apparently a fair-skinned redhead like myself. Very interesting indeed. Perhaps I should get the Quran. I'm not going to burn it. Oh, Christ. Obviously, we had the issue of this man burning a Quran in Britain recently, in sort of solidarity with the Swedish man who was murdered for burning the Quran. But again, it should not be against the law to burn a book. Well, one, it isn't. It's just because they've clearly arrested him for a public order offence because he's causing a disturbance. They've probably arrested him for his own safety. That's what's probably happened. I mean, clearly that's what's happened. Anyway, coming off Islam, we go to Keir Starmer, the glorified McDonald's manager. So I've come up with a perfect analogy for Keir Starmer as Prime Minister, and I will explain all in further detail. So I was wondering a few days ago, does anyone else think this? Why is it that Keir Starmer says one thing, but then does a completely different thing? He'll tell you he's going to stop the migrants, and then he'll open up. The boats keep coming, and he makes it easier for migrants to come. He says he's going to smash the gangs, arrests one person, and the boats keep coming. Why is it? Has he just been taking too many acting classes? Is he lying for the sake of it? Is he simply saying things, especially in the run-up to the election, that people want to hear? Did he actually mean it? Or is the answer a bit more opaque than that? Is the answer that he has no real power at all in his role as Prime Minister? Well, let's look at some clips for our man on the inside. Our man on the inside, Dominic Cummings. Now, I've got two clips. They're very, very similar. But I want you to watch these clips and think, if you were the Prime Minister, you in the audience, if you were the Prime Minister, would you put up with this nonsense? Would you accept this as reality? If you were a cabinet minister, would you accept this reality that I'm going to show to you this evening? So these two clips of Dominic Cummings, right? And clip one, I mean, the clips are so very similar that it's basically the same speech, but they're done in two separate locations, ladies and gentlemen. So let's look at the first clip, and then we'll play the other clip, and then we'll be asking some questions and teasing a wee bit.
The person in the... So if you think of two roles, right? The Foreign Secretary in Great Britain and the private secretary in the PM's office responsible for foreign affairs, an official whose name has never been in the newspapers. That person was like 10 times more powerful and important than the Secretary of State was. And I think this is something which people just don't really realize. And it's part of like how the whole system has become fake. So you have fake meritocracy, fake responsibility, and then fake cabinet government. So they all walk up Downing Street, the cameras whir, they pose, they smile, ha ha, I'm going into the most powerful meeting, aren't I great? But it's all nonsense. The cabinet is just a kind of stage theatre. And actually officials in the cabinet office have already decided it all. When you sit in Whitehall now, right, in meetings, they are literally scripted. So when the Prime Minister has a meeting with ministers, what happens is that before the Prime Minister has that meeting, officials go into the Prime Minister's study and they give him a folder. And in the folder at the front is a thing called Chairman's Notes. And that's the script, and that's what the Prime Minister reads out. And the conclusions of the meeting are in the Chairman's Notes, drafted before the meeting happens, right? So the Prime Minister says, hello, Secretary of State, blah, blah, blah. And then all these officials sit around the sides on chairs around the edge of the room. And then the MP, the Secretaries of State, all look down at their folders because they've all got their scripts, right? And this is why I use the NPC meme, right? Because then the Prime Minister reads out, well, we're here to discuss blah, blah, blah. And then he goes around the room, and then Secretary of State for Justice or the Foreign Secretary reads out his bullet points, and then he reads out their bullet points, and they read out. If anyone goes on script, you see the officials sort of go, and then look over at the other official on the side of the room and kind of go. That means we'll come back to that after the meeting and make sure that that doesn't happen. And then at the end, it was a fascinating, great discussion. Thank you so much for your wonderful, insightful, original contributions. And then he reads out the conclusions which are all drafted in advance. And it sounds like a parody, but it is literally how the British state functions. And the MPs are happy with that, right? Well, how does the psychology of it work? The officials are happy because they have almost all the real power. The cabinet secretary is now 100 times more powerful than any cabinet minister apart from the PM. And the MPs are happy because this whole system pretends that they're in charge. So both sides are basically happy with the fake version of the government.
I mean, did you know this? Did you suspect this? I mean, clearly. I mean, would you accept this if you were the Prime Minister? You go into a meeting and somebody hands you a folder and you have to read verbatim what it is. You introduce the meeting. You put your points across. That's scripted. Literally scripted, Dominic Cummings is saying. Literally scripted. Just like our scripted nonsense in Hollywood. they've taken not elements of the British state, but they've taken the entirety of the British state. It's all scripted. And we get this political theatre played out before our eyes. Nothing ever changes. The people who are writing the script are the ones who've got power. This is what Dominic Cummings is saying. And again, he goes into the sort of psychology of it as well. The MPs are happy enough to say, oh, yeah, I'm one of the most powerful people in the world. I will let people believe that I'm one of the most powerful people in Britain. I will allow this false narrative to be put out through the permeate through the culture that we are in charge, when in fact we are not in charge. We are just reading a script, like Wizard of Oz. Don't look at the man behind the curtain type stuff. And we've got another clip. So again, this is interesting as well. So it's a different audience, basically the same speech, but it's a different audience. So I mean, listen to this. Did you even know this? This was a clip that sort of semi went viral, but it deserves tens of millions of hits. This clip of Dominic Cummings. We need to expose just the political theatre that is the Westminster government, that is Keir Starmer, that is the cabinet, that is the succession of governments that are doing the bidding of other people, pretending that they're in charge, pretending that they're making moves, pretending that they're making decisions, when in fact they're glorified McDonald's managers. Let's watch the second clip.
And you have fake cabinet government overall laid on top of that, where the ministers walk down the street and they smile for the cameras and blah, blah, blah. But cabinet now is completely scripted. People don't believe me when I say scripted. They think it must be an analogy, but I mean it literally. So if you're with the Prime Minister and you have a meeting now, this is how a meeting happens. You go to the Prime Minister's study before the meeting and he opens a folder, and inside the folder is a document called Chairman's Notes. And that is an actual script. And the script says, here's how you read it out to introduce the meeting. And then all these different ministers will read out the following things. And then at the end, you read out this is the conclusion. So the conclusion is drafted in advance, right? So Whitehall now operates on the basis of literally completely scripted meetings, where it's only a bad meeting if somebody goes off script, at which point the officials scurry around afterwards and figure out how to clear it up, because people actually discuss the real issue. My God, this is not how meetings work. Right, so you have a whole set of people who are officials and ministers who've been trained to live in an environment which is the exact opposite of, if you go and have a meeting with Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, or with William Pitt in 1798, the idea of Pitt sitting there and reading out a script in bullet point fashion, and then all of these clowns reading out their bullet points, and then him reading out his book, just would never have happened in a million years. But that's the way that we are actually governed. It's inseparable from Northcote Trevelyan. Northcote Trevelyan has to be blown up. The reason why what we discussed before about why you see the same problems across the Western world is this same thing. Every Western country is allowed these permanent bureaucracies to develop. And that's why we have exactly the same pathological behaviour everywhere. We should return to the old English system, which is real meritocracy and real responsibility to Parliament, rather than the fake meritocracy and the fake responsibility.
Just to confirm that Dom's story about scripts is true, and I've written those scripts myself, but it's quite rare for the script not to have been agreed with the minister in advance. But that depends on the minister.
Yes, exactly. They're happy being NPCs.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't necessarily use that language, but the story is completely true, and it still goes on.
I mean, it's just absolutely sickening here. I mean, yes, there's a guy sitting in the audience that says, I literally wrote the scripts. And they're all chuckling away as if it's one big joke. No, our country is one big joke. The way we're governed is one big joke. And didn't you notice? Have you ever wondered why the same story is being played out in every Western nation, except now in USA with Trump? Because if Trump is actually leading, he's actually in charge. This is why they hate him. He's not commanded by this permanent bureaucracy, what Dominic Cummings is describing. No, like every other Western nation. And this is why they're at war with Trump, basically. They're constantly. They despise the man. They absolutely despise him. Just to no end. Because they are what they want to. He is what they want to be. He is a real leader. They cannot take the fact that he is better than them, that he's leading leading from the front. He's acting as a leader should. And that's, of course, if you're Keir Starmer, that's going to get under your skin. Of course, if you're Emmanuel Macron, that's going to get under your skin. Of course, if you're Olaf Scholz, that's going to get under your skin. Of course, it's going to get under your skin. Because if you are Justin Trudeau, of course, that's going to get under your skin. Because he is everything. Trump is everything that these leaders want to be, which is a real leader. They thought when they ascended the extremely greasy pole to leadership of their country that they were going to be able to make decisions. And they got rudely awakened. But how do we come away from this? How does Britain break through this? We need a leader who is going to cast off this permanent bureaucracy, that's going to say, fuck your notes, fuck your script. I'm not picking cabinet ministers that are going to follow your script. No, in fact, you are barred from the meeting. We'll have our own meetings. That's what we need. We need somebody that is actually a leader, not someone who's going to read a script. It's absolutely pathetic that our country is in this state. It's pathetic that all these Western democracies across Europe are in this state, and North America when you look at Canada. Absolutely pathetic. But again, I'll play the clip again, the second clip, because and pay attention to when the guy pipes up and says, oh Dominic, just to lay credence to what you're saying here, yes, I was writing the scripts. And they all just chuckle away. I think that attitude is absolutely despicable. It would make me angry. It wouldn't make me laugh. Would it make you angry? Would it make you laugh? Tell me. It's absolutely despicable. But then again, it explains Keir Starmer's behaviour. It explains Keir Starmer when he says one thing and another thing happens. He says he's going to smash the gangs. One guy gets arrested that's selling thingies. That's building inflatable boats. And all the boats just keep coming. The migrant hotels just keep popping up. It explains this whole phenomenon of what we're seeing right across the West, is that we've got these permanent bureaucracies installed, just making it almost impossible to make your own path, to write your own script, because the script's been written, to write the own script of your nation. If you're a leader, how dare you take notes from another person? How dare you? No, it should be coming from you and you alone. But again, what does this permanent bureaucracy have on these leaders? This is the thing with Trump again. Trump's a real leader. They don't have anything on Trump. They have to fabricate stuff about Trump because they've not got any leverage over him. Whereas Keir Starmer, they've obviously got leverage over him. Emmanuel Macron, they've obviously got leverage over him. When we're looking at John Swinney, Nicola Sturgeon, they've obviously got leverage over these people. Obviously, otherwise they would deviate from the script. You see what I'm saying? Obviously. So again, we'll play the second clip again, just for people who are joining us. Almost 300 viewers, guys, on a Monday night. Thank you very much. Live and raw, Niall Fraser show. But this, again, it makes me so angry that we've got this fakery, this fake political theatre playing out right across the West. But more to the point, it's in Britain. I thought Britain was better. And you know, Cummings, he brings up William Pitt. You know what I mean? These prime ministers of yesteryear, they would never in a million years allow this shenanigans to go on, this theatre to draw the curtains on this. They would not allow this to continue. And yet, everyone, our government in this era, in this time, just allow it to happen. Where is Britain's next actual leader? Where is the person that is not corrupted, that has no leverage over them? Where is he or she? Where? Anyway, we'll play the Cummins again, just because I feel like the reaction from the crowd when this guy pipes up is actually worth saying more than the rest of it, because they're clearly all Westminster types, and they're all laughing about the fact that our country's a big fat joke, that our government's a big fat joke, that it's just a steaming pile of shit.
And you have fake cabinet government overall laid on top of that, where the ministers walk down the street and they smile for the cameras and blah, blah, blah. But cabinet now is completely scripted. People don't believe me when I say scripted. They think it must be an analogy, but I mean it literally. So if you're with the Prime Minister and you have a meeting now, this is how a meeting happens. You go into the Prime Minister's study before the meeting and he opens a folder, and inside the folder is a document called Chairman's Notes. And that is an actual script. And the script says, here's how you read it out to introduce the meeting. And then all these different ministers will read out the following things. And then at the end, you read out, this is the conclusion. So the conclusion is drafted in advance, right? So Whitehall now operates on the basis of literally completely scripted meetings, where it's only a bad meeting if somebody goes off script, at which point the officials scurry around afterwards and figure out how to clear it up, because people actually discuss the real issue. My God, this is not how meetings work. Right, so you have a whole set of people who are officials and ministers who've been trained to live in an environment which is the exact opposite of, if you go and have a meeting with Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, or with William Pitt in 1798, the idea of Pitt sitting there and reading out a script in bullet point fashion, and then all of these clowns reading out their bullet points, and then him reading out his book, just would never have happened in a million years. But that's the way that we are actually governed. It's inseparable from Northcote Trevelyan. Northcote Trevelyan has to be blown up. The reason why what we discussed before about why you see the same problems across the Western world is this same thing. Every Western country is allowed these permanent bureaucracies to develop. And that's why we have exactly the same pathological behaviour everywhere. We should return to the old English system, which is real meritocracy and real responsibility to Parliament, rather than the fake meritocracy and the fake responsibility.
Just to confirm that Dom's story about scripts is true, and I've written those scripts myself, but it's quite rare for the script not to have been agreed with the minister in advance. But that depends on the minister.
Yes, exactly. They're happy being NPCs.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't necessarily use that language, but the story is completely true, and it still goes on.
It's just absolutely sickening to watch these people laugh and joke about just what a washed up basket case our country actually is. I mean, we had a comment in, it's yourself talking about who's that leader. Well, thanks for the vote of confidence, Matthew. And you think, at this point in time, there's very, very few political parties that will touch me. I might have to make my own at this rate, because it's absolutely despicable. And I might just base it on the housing plan that I busted the other day. But I think people that watch me, people that know me personally, know that I've got the heart and soul of the country mind. The boats need to stop. We cannot be invaded en masse. These people who are here need to be deported en masse. We need to get the army in to deport them. They're that bad. We need full-on militarised deportation of the areas in Birmingham, Manchester. London's got, what did they say, 12% or something are illegal immigrants? Absolutely insane numbers. Insane numbers. We need a leader who's willing to go off script, who's willing to take the script, scrunch it up, throw it away, set it on fire, tell the person writing the script, no, away and raffle. We're not doing this. I'm doing what's best for the country, and there's fuck all else you can do to stop me. Watch me do it. That's what Trump is doing in America. And that's why they hate him. Again, we'll go back to it. Before I complete the analogy, we'll go back to Trump and why they hate him so much. It's because the likes of Trudeau, the likes of Keir Starmer, even Boris Johnson. You know, you wonder why Liz Truss lasted 2 weeks. You wonder why Liz Truss lasted 2 weeks. Well, I believe that she went off script. She went off script, and boom. And you know, you can come at me all this crap. Oh, she tanked the economy. What a shite. What a shite. Honestly, what, she tried to put tax cuts in place, tank the economy. Is that what it takes? What, a tax cut will tank the economy? No, I don't think so. No, they're printing money hand over fist. How can it possibly tank the economy when they've got this quantitative easing, just huge amounts of quantitative easing over and over and over again? We've got central banks printing money out of nowhere, creating money out of nowhere, lending it to our governments, and then charging us interest on it. Do you think that's agreeable? Is that what creates our economy? Is that what keeps our economy afloat? The central bankers who just magic money out of nowhere and lend us it. They are the real rulers. It goes back to Rothschilds. I don't care who the leader of the country is. Show me the man who controls the finances, and I'll show you who is in charge, who's got the real power. Care not about who the Prime Minister is. Care not who the President is. It's he who controls the finances, controls the government. And this is where we need to go after the central banks. And this is what my housing plan was actually for. But it doesn't matter about the central banks when we've got our resources right under our feet. We've got stone, we've got wood, we've got timber, we've got all the materials, we've got all the collective industrious ability of all our people to create as many homes as possible to make sure everyone's housed. And to a better fact, we don't need to create all these homes. We just need to allow people to make them themselves. That's the thing. We need to give people pride back. We need to give people like this can-do attitude back. Instead of going, it's too hard to build a house. I've not got the land. I've not got this. I've not got that. There's too much red tape. Well, let's slash the red tape to ribbons and let's just build. Let's just build. You know what I mean? If your house caves in on you, that's on you. You built it. We need to train people in building their houses. We need to train people. But again, we've got this freakazoid government in charge, running off scripts. But I do digress, ladies and gentlemen. I do digress. And we'll complete the analogy. So what Dominic Cummings is saying there is he's saying, yep, it doesn't matter what sort of Prime Minister you've got. It doesn't matter what Keir Starmer says. He is running off script, as is his cabinet ministers are running off a script, which makes him a glorified McDonald's manager. Yes, they can hire people. Yes, they can fire people, but they can't change the menu. And that menu for Britain is globalism. The boats will still arrive. Migrants will still arrive. Mass migration will still happen because the menu never changes. You see what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen? Keir Starmer is a glorified McDonald's manager. There you go. That's your analogy for Monday night. And please do grab a hold of that Dominic Cummings clip. That should have 10, 20, 30, 40 millions of views. Everyone in Britain should have seen that. Everyone in Britain must be made aware of just how fake, how false, how theatrical, how scripted our government is. And just to see, it's just to sort of, we need to peer behind the curtain and just confront the Wizard of Oz and tell him to go fuck himself. We need that leader to arise. We need him. We need him now. Him or her, it doesn't matter, honestly. Christ almighty. Anyway, and just to sort of to punch that that analogy in, Keir Starmer, before the election happened, we will stop the boats. We will smash the gangs. We'll smash the gangs. My ass will smash the gangs. Here we go, a clip for Talk TV. Let's watch this.
Let's just look, and this will make your blood boil and curdle this morning as it did with mine. My jaw dropped open, actually, when I read this headline. This is the front page of the Sunday Telegraph. Wait for this. We talk a lot about illegal migration on this programme. The Prime Minister, here's his brilliant new idea. He's going to ease the rules for illegal migrants. What? Yes, let me just tell you about this. Labour is watering down border laws designed to block illegal migrants from attaining citizenship, and also is going to stop them, forcing them to submit to scientific age checks.
Absolutely disgusting. And this is, again, it just leaves more credence to the fact that he's a smarmy, two-faced liar. He's a jumped-up junior salesman who, when you make a sale, you have to phone the boss, and he makes a sale. It's absolutely shocking. Absolutely shocking. I'm going to smash the gangs. I'm going to stop the boats. Let's make it easier. No, he's going to smash the gangs. He says that in public. He's going to stop the boats. But the script he's handed to, the McDonald's menu that he is given, the globalist McDonald's menu that Keir Starmer is reading out to his cabinet, is let's make these asylum seekers, let's get more in. Let's make it easier for them. It's absolutely shocking. So that's your glorified McDonald's manager, ladies and gentlemen. And now we embark upon a journey northward. We embark on a journey northward to Aberdeen, which is earmarked to become Scotland's next shithole. Absolutely. And, you know, I didn't just come up with this on a whim. We've got some receipts. Some receipts. We've not got all the receipts, but it's becoming a shithole. Why is it becoming a shithole? Well, let's look at a few different reasons. Aberdeen houses fall in disappointing sales figures. Now, one would expect, well, we don't need to expect it. You could probably you definitely correlate property prices in Aberdeen to the price of crude oil. Why is that? Because it's one of these, it's the offshore industry is basically based off Aberdeen, Montrose, that area in the north. If you want to go offshore, you go to Aberdeen, you get a helicopter out. Montrose, whatever it is. You go to the North Sea. So it doesn't take a genius to work out that if you're destroying the oil and gas industry, that you're also destroying Aberdeen. You're destroying the economic prospects of every Aberdonian. Absolutely simple stuff here, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't take a genius, you know, to work this out. So and this is when we see average price of a detached house in Aberdeen decreased by 5,000 in 3 months. Right, that's the headline. Bear in mind that literally almost every single house in Britain, the price is going up. Why is the price going up? Because inflation is going up. House prices must go up because your pound's becoming less. Your pound is buying less. You can go to the shop, your tenner is buying less and less every single week because of inflation. So it would stand to reason that every house in Britain, the price is going to rise purely due to inflation because the house is worth intrinsic value. You see what I'm saying? Whereas the pound fluctuates all the time. And it only fluctuates in a downward fashion because of inflation. You know, it gets worse and worse and worse. We talked about in the housing policy show just on Friday there, that a mortgage in 1990 for the average house price now, which is 100 in Scotland, it's just £192,000. So you take a mortgage out in 1990 to the tune of £192,000, and that direct comparison to this date, using the Bank of England's own inflation calculator, that £192,000 now equates to £466,000. That is inflation, ladies and gentlemen. And that is a mere 30 years inflation, where you've doubled, you've 2.5x the price of a mortgage, not the price of a mortgage, the value of the value of the pound. It's not increased, it's decreased 2.5 fold because everything's 2.5 times more expensive. And it doesn't, you know, you don't need to go to a fancy university to work out that economics is just a massive, massive scam. Honestly, it doesn't take a wizard to understand. It doesn't take Socrates or Pythagoras to understand just how much we're getting shafted here every time the Bank of England turns on the tap and creates more money. Every time a bank gives you a mortgage, they're creating that money. They're not going into the back office. They're not turning the big vault open and pulling out £192,000. No, they're creating that £192,000 out of thin air. That's what happened with the 2008 banking crash. The banks still have to take liability for this, even though they've created it in nowhere. Even though they've created it in nowhere, lent it to you with interest, they still have to take liability. They still have to have it in their books. That's what happened with the 2008 crash when it went haywire. And we didn't even have a resolution for that. We didn't even have there was no conclusion. It was just allowed to continue and get worse. The bubble to inflate and get worse and worse and worse and worse. Until now, we're in this situation where the only story value, really, is gold. It's gold and silver. That's the only story value, really. Bitcoin, you've seen, we talked about it on our Monday show again. A man, back when Bitcoin was first coming around in the early 2010s, a man bought 2 pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoin. And we worked out on that show that these 2 pizzas, 10,000 Bitcoin, is now worth $1.018 billion. The most expensive pizzas in mankind's history. And it's only going to go up. It's only going to go up. We've seen El Salvador with a Bitcoin sovereign fund, wealth fund. El Salvador is going to become one of the best countries on the planet. The United States is going to do the exact same thing. Watch it happen, ladies and gentlemen. Watch it happen. Of course, Donald Trump must protect the dollar. Right now he does. Until they can make the switch to Bitcoin or crypto, because our financial market just doesn't work. The only way to defeat the central banks, the printing scammers, the only way to defeat them is with crypto or gold. Some sort of cryptocurrency tied to gold. That's the only way to defeat them. You know why? Because you can't print more Bitcoin. There's a finite amount of Bitcoin, and that's it. So you can't print more. That's why you can defeat them. But why is Aberdeen becoming a shithole? Because of this dogmatic, retarded approach, it just was destroying our oil and gas industry. Something that Aberdeen was famed for. You know, the average price in Aberdeen, a house, is almost 100 grand more than the average price right across Scotland. And yet we're seeing it decrease. Boom, boom, it's decreasing, it's decreasing, it's decreasing. Tied to the oil and gas industry, quite obviously. So as Aberdeen is slowly losing house, value in their houses, what else is happening? Oh well, just to shitify the place even more. We get this. I've lifted this from Craig Houston. So Craig Houston puts a good friend, Craig Houston, I must add. Thank you if you're watching the show. Give us a comment, Craig. But anyway, students at University of Aberdeen, big exclamation mark, announcement. And this was put out and it almost has like 50, 60,000 views for Craig. Announcement. We have received some reports of girls being followed/chased home by men from Aberdeen Beach. This seems to be happening during the evenings and quieter times. Please avoid going to the beach alone, and especially at night. Make sure someone is aware of your location, route, and ETA. Please stay safe and feel free to reach out if you have any concerns or need someone to talk to. And this is in the wake of, for the last few weeks, we've been seeing on STV, there's 2 women missing in Aberdeen. 2 Hungarian sisters, twin sisters, missing in Aberdeen. And they look, and they look, and they look, and they scour the river, and they scour the river, and they find 2 bodies. And now let's look at Aberdeen. Why is it being shitified? Well, we've just popped 4 migrant hotels in Aberdeen. Look, there's one right at the beach. Is it coincidence? Is it fuck? This is why Aberdeen's becoming a shithole. You've got the combination of the fact that we've got this destructive net zero policy just laying waste to Aberdeen and its industry and its workers It takes such a huge level of expertise to work offshore. And it takes a huge amount of work ethic. And you're making personal sacrifices. When you work offshore, you're maybe there 2 weeks on, was it 3 weeks on, a week off, 2 weeks on, a few days off, whatever it is. You're making huge sacrifices for you and your family to do this dangerous, skill-heavy job. So if you take that away from Aberdeen, if you subtract that from Aberdeen, if you close down the oil and gas industry, what's going to happen? It's going to become a fucking shithole. And then what you do, you plop 4 migrant hotels in Aberdeen. Welcome to hell. Welcome to Scotland's new shithole. And we'll just see the absolute death of Aberdeen. It's just going to happen. I can see it. I can see the future. And I don't need a crystal ball in order to do it. It's absolutely sickening. Welcome to Aberdeen, twinned with Mogadishu. That's what they'll be saying in a year's time. Absolutely sick. And we've got a wee clip in order to show. But I will put up, sometimes I don't even know how to produce my own show, but we're missing the picture of Keir Starmer giving you McDonald's. Sorry, guys. Missed it. But anyway, welcome to Aberdeen, twinned with Mogadishu. The slow, methodical death of the oil and gas industry. The house prices plummet. The migrant hotels come in. And migrant hotels are like cancer on any city. Crime goes up. House prices go down. And let's look at a wee clip that I lifted from today. So this was this is a clip. Again, we do have some decent journalists in Scotland. I'm not going to lie. We've got some of them. And I think the guy that's conducting this interview is one of them. But here is a Scottish media type journalist. He's interviewing the GB Energy boss. Now, I want you to look closely at the GB Energy boss in this clip because it looks like he's on drugs, ladies and gentlemen. His pupils look weird. He just looks crazed. His hand gestures are mental. It doesn't look sane. It looks like he's already on the defensive. He's on the defensive because he knows that he's shoveling a pile of shit. And he must make it look like it's good. He's pissing on us, and he has to tell us it's raining. It's his job to tell us it's raining. And it's not piss. It's not a golden shower. So here's the GB Energy boss.
Is that by having more homegrown clean energy here, we're going to protect from global events suddenly creating a panic where people have to pay.
You can't tell me that guy isn't on drugs. I mean, just look at it.
Is that by having more homegrown clean energy here, we're going to protect from global events suddenly creating a panic where people have to pay higher bills, and we're protecting people from that. And ultimately, yes, it will help bring energy prices down.
When?
Well, it's a matter for government and policy to decide.
But as the boss of this and as someone who is driving forward the ambition of the government, you surely have an idea in your head of when that central pledge to the people of reducing their bills by £300 will come into action.
It is not in the remit of Great British Energy to work out exactly how that energy costing gets through to the consumer. That's what
consumers were pledged, though, wasn't it?
Well, no, look, consumers were pledged that Great British Energy is going to help bring those energy prices down, and we will.
Still don't know when, though.
No, I'm giving you an answer. More renewable energy is bringing people's energy bills down. It's a great thing for British people. It's creating jobs for British people, and that is the best way of doing it.
Can you see why people think this is a bit vague?
Well, look, at the end of the day, I know that you're asking me for a date as to when I can bring that. Great British Energy has only just been brought into creation.
Can we be clear as to how many jobs the northeast of Scotland will benefit from?
Great British Energy itself is going to create over the next 5 years 200 or 300 jobs in Aberdeen. That will be the size of our team. But look, that is
They were promised 1,000.
Look, and I said in the very long term, as we become a major energy champion, it may be many more than that.
What's the very long term?
Well, look, we grow these companies. Energy companies grow over 10, 20 years, and we're going to be around in 20 years as a British energy champion.
So it could take 20 years to get 1,000 jobs.
Look, but the issue that you're completely missing here is the thousands of jobs that are being created in the supply chain.
Piss on me and tell me it's raining. That's what I've got to say about this guy, honestly. And it just seems so erratic. So we must, renewables are great for Britain. The more we put up, the cheaper your bills become. Well, hold on a minute. We've just littered our entire landscape with these windmills. Energy bills come up. What a lot of crap. It's just sick. It's sick. And again, the net zero thing is such a massive scam. Such a massive scam. It's unbelievable. Aye, of course, we want less pollution. Of course. But what, to turn the tap on our economy, just to turn it to zero? To turn our prospects to zero? To turn the opportunities for our kids to zero? No, I don't think so. No, when China's building a coal power plant every other day. In India, it's just polluting the entire, we've got whole areas of the sea that's just plastic. Christ, honestly, it gets me annoyed. But let's look again at these migrant hotels, the map. Let's look at the map. These migrant hotels, and people phone me up all the time. They say, Niall, when are we doing another protest? What are we doing a protest on? We just need another protest. I need to vent my anger. I'm losing the rag here. The government's destroying us. Well, yes, it is. But I think I've found the protest situation. I think I've found where to do the protests. It's at every city, every place that's got a migrant hotel. That's where we do the protests. It's no right that these people are housed here. It's no right that we are endangering Aberdonians by placing these hotels here. Let's look at. I mean, people are they're becoming billionaires by having these hotels and filling them up with migrants. They're becoming billionaires. If you own the hotel and the government said to you, we'll make sure that every single room that you have is occupied in perpetuity and we'll pay you X for it, you'd be daft not to take it. Well, one, you'd be a traitor to your own people. And we've seen this in we've seen this in Ireland, where people own the hotels are getting, some of them are coming out on the other side of the fence in the protest and saying, no, I'm not doing it. No, I'm not doing it. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't put a hotel with 1,000 migrants in a small village of 200-300 people. What's going to happen? It's going to become a shithole. And this is what these migrant hotels are doing. They're shitifying our cities. They're becoming crime-ridden hellholes. Aberdeen twinned with Mogadishu. So there you go. That's the answer to all the people that are on the phone saying, Niall, where are we going to do the protests at? What's the topic? Well, I think I've found it. We need to go to Aberdeen and we need to have a rally, a protest about the migrant camps, the migrant hotels. And we need to find out who the hell's who owns these hotels in the first place, and we need to name them and shame them, because they in turn are benefiting. They're taking money. They are benefiting financially by endangering people in Aberdeen. The people who own these hotels and have signed a deal with the government, they are endangering the people of Aberdeen. 100%. So there you are, ladies and gentlemen. Aberdeen earmarked as the next shithole. And let's bring up the map as well. Let's share the tab. Let's share the tab. We'll bring this down. Where did I get the information? Let's bring it up. Here's the map. Is there a migrant hotel near you? Well, is there? Let's go. Oh, look at Glasgow. Look at it. Absolutely littered with migrant hotels. Littered. So we'll do a protest in Glasgow. One night right next to Ibrox. Mind, there was one right in the city centre. Remember, there was one in the city centre and there was a knife attack because the guy's Wi-Fi went down. And again, do you think these migrants actually want to be sort of siloed into these hotels? We're promising these migrants the world and then just basically imprison them. And they're going to lose their ag. This isn't beneficial to Glaswegians or the people they're putting in the hotels. It's not beneficial. We're selling them a lie. Look, we've got one in Greenock. One right there in Greenock. Where else in Scotland are they? Erskine, Paisley, Falkirk, Bathgate, Edinburgh. Thank God Fife seems to be safe. Fife, the kingdom of Fife, rallies again. Perth, we've got 2 in Perth. And there was an issue with the folk in Perth. And there was an issue, I think there was already a protest about the swans in Perth. Where else are they? Dundee. Oh, it's Humza's territory. It's Humza's backyard. And of course there's going to be a migrant hotel in Humza's house. We need more customers for his brother-in-law. Of course there's going to be one there. But this is why I'm saying Aberdeen is going to become shitified. Because look at the prevalence. Of course, they're mostly in the Central Belt, right? Glasgow's absolutely littered bit. Sort of Central Belt. What one's that one, actually? What one's that one? Lanark. Oh, no. Lanark, if you've not been to Lanark, beautiful place. Beautiful place. I think that's where William Wallace was hiding out. And now we've got a migrant hotel. Well done. But this is why I'm saying Aberdeen is earmarked for the next shithole, because there's 4. There's 4. And Aberdeen, although it looks like a big place, it's actually rather small. It's actually rather small. So there you are, ladies and gentlemen. That's why it's earmarked as the next shithole. Well, guys, it's been a spirited Monday night. Tell me, I mean, what I'm going to do, if you are watching on YouTube, hit the like button. Subscribe to me. We're almost at, a paltry 100 subscribers. But at least it's a milestone. We'll keep going. More and more videos. I'm just going to go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, sorry, until we get the numbers. On Twitter, Twitter smashes the numbers. 400 viewers on Twitter alone tonight. Live, right now. 4 on YouTube. Poor. If any of you watching on Twitter tonight, if any want to do me a favour, you didn't want to donate, what you want to do is just jump onto my YouTube channel and just subscribe. to tell me that I'm doing a half decent job, to tell me that you're actually entertained in some way, shape, or form. If I've made you laugh, if I've made you think, more to the point. So let's just recap what we've been talking about today. We're talking about Gingeslam. Why is it that gingers are converting to Islam in such a huge, ridiculous statistic? 76% of white British converts to Islam are indeed redheads. But then, we've pointed out that it's just people with red beards. It's just people with ginger beards. It's no full-on pure gingers like myself. And then we had Keir Starmer, the glorified McDonald's manager. Why do we say he's a glorified McDonald's manager? Because everything he does is scripted. You know, he can hire people, he can fire people. As the McDonald's manager, as you're seeing there, he can hire people for behind the till. He can hire people to do the burgers. He can hire people to do the fries. But he can't change the menu. And what's he selling us? He's selling us the same globalist crap. The same crap that allows them to say we're going to smash the gangs, we're going to stop the boats, but the script, his menu, tells them otherwise. And then we had Aberdeen earmarked as the next shithole. Thanks in part to the migrant hotels, but also couple the migrant hotels with the fact that we're just we're deindustrializing Aberdeen, basically. We're tuning down the economy in Aberdeen. We are picking winners and losers on the global scale with this net zero scam. And Aberdeen is a victim of it. So your house prices go down with these migrant camps, these migrant hotels, crime will go up. It's earmarked as the next shithole, almost guaranteed. Because again, it looks like Aberdeen's a big place, but it's very small in terms of, you know, in comparison to Glasgow and Edinburgh and such. Anyway, guys, that's been the Niall Fraser Show for your Monday night. Thank you again for tuning in. Again, 400 odd viewers, almost 450 on X. Thank you very much for tuning in. You can watch it. You can go back and watch it on my YouTube. And if you could do me a favour, right there below, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel at the Niall Fraser Show to tell me that I'm doing a half decent job. Glenn Jackson there, thanks for the show. Thank you for tuning in, Glenn. Thank you. Honestly, it's been a fantastic show tonight. I was just getting into the swing of it. I always just get into the swing of it. In fact, what we'll do before we go, I'll get an extra couple minutes. Well, let's look at the topical stories in Scotland just to see what a basket case we are. Just to see how ridiculous we are. Just to see how dumpster a place we are. We've got this. A Fifer, a nurse from Fife. Bonus show, Glenn says. A bonus 5 minutes. We're just going to look at some of the daft stuff that's happening around Scotland. Just daft nonsense. What's happening here, you're saying? Oh, Sandy Peggy was suspended from her work after she objected to Dr. Beth Upton using the same facilities. You know, it might look on the outside. You know, that headline doesn't tell you the whole truth. That headline doesn't tell you the truth at all. Let's click it and let's find out. What's STV saying? Oh, well, nurse intimidated after a trans doctor allowed to use changing room. Why the hell did they not just run that on their news ticker on Twitter? The thing is, it's a tribunal, so we're wasting people's time and effort. Clearly, NHS Fife will have to pay out on this. So, again, more money, more public funds is going to be extracted for just pure retardation of allowing, you know, of just not even allowing, entertaining the fact that a man can become a woman and that it's okay for a man to get changed next to a female nurse in the same changing room. It's farcical. And yet more money is going to be extracted for Scotland. More money is going to be extracted for the public purse because of this nonsense. Let's just read a wee bit. Sandy Peggy, suspended for her work after she objected to Dr. Beth. Beth, we done it for Beth. Alex Cole Hamilton, I hear him echoing there. We done it for Beth. Using the same facilities. Of course she should object. A nurse was suspended after complaining about a trans woman doctor using a female changing room, insisted she had never used the word rapist or made comments about chromosomes. Well, to be fair, who cares if she did talk about chromosomes? Who actually cares? We can't have men changing alongside women and expect it to be fine. We can't expect. And the thing is, she felt uncomfortable. This is the thing. It all boils down to this nurse feeling uncomfortable. And you can't legislate away. You can't legislate away people's feelings. This woman is clearly uncomfortable. You can't. What are you going to do? You're going to tell her that she's no right to be uncomfortable. It's how she feels. Honestly, see how retarded this whole thing is. It's mental. I use that word too much, but Scotland is just—it's not serious. It isn't a serious place. Of course, we've got this basket case news article about the SNP banning cats, and you're like, what is going on? Lord, give me strength. Lord, give me strength. What else have I got in the bookmarks? Hold on. What else have I got? Anything worse? Anything worth it? Well, there's that ginger convert. And as you can see again, just to sort of weigh credence to the fact, this guy's no ginger. You might think, oh my God, this guy's the most ginger person I've ever seen. He's got a wee cap on. You can't see his head. He's just got the ginger beard. He's just got the ginger beard. Oh, and what else is happening? Oh, another stabbing. Another 15-year-old boy was fatally stabbed. When will it end? When will it end? Well, there you go. It'll end when we've got a leader who isn't taking a script. It'll end when we've got a leader who will actually do something about this. It's rotten. The UK is rotten to the core, and it must be fundamentally changed. Fundamentally. Right, guys, that has been the Niall Fraser show for Monday night. And welcome to February, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, welcome, welcome. January is over. The January blues, you can cast that aside. Cast it aside and embrace February. Valentine's Day coming up, guys. Valentine's Day. Hope you're getting your significant other something. Hope you're doing so. Anyway. Well, no welcome. Thanks for joining us. If again, if you're on YouTube, give us a like, give us a subscribe. If you're on Twitter now, to do me a favor, you can, and I don't do this very often, you can support me at the coffee if you want. If you don't, if you feel I'm never giving that guy money, then fine. Then jump onto the YouTube ticker below, youtube.com/at the Niall Fraser Show. Give me a like and a subscribe. And it tells me that you like what you're seeing. It tells me that you want to see more. Anyway, that has been Monday night. So I look forward to seeing you all again on Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Same time, different show, different news. We'll see what happens. Anyway, guys, thank you ever so much for watching. You've been tuned into the Niall Fraser Show. But lastly, I can't leave without giving you the outro music. So enjoy the outro. I'll play it at the start because it always gets me G'd up for a show. Well, guys, I'll see you again all on Wednesday. Good luck and good night.